welcome everyone. This is the Sustaingineering 2020 info session. We're a design team at UBC that focuses on bringing renewable energy and sustainable solutions to developing communities. And we're going to be using this info session to tell you a little bit about us. Do I still have control? Yes, I do.
There you go.
So here's an overview of the info session. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to welcome you and tell you a little bit about us. And then we're going to have each of the teams present. We have all of the team leads here, as well as one of our graduate advisors. So we're going to introduce them and they're going to introduce the teams. And then afterwards, we're going to have breakout rooms. And that's going to be a very special treat. You can see the GIF on the right-hand side, and that's a platform called gather.town, which we'll talk about later. And that's how we're going to be doing our breakout rooms.
Awesome. So I think, yeah, most of you probably heard it, but just to reiterate, I'm Jonah. I'm a third-year integrated engineering student. And Eli, if you want to introduce yourself really quickly.
I'm Eli. I'm a fourth-year electrical engineering student.
Yeah, so just to give a little background, we are your co-captains for the 2020-21 year. And to really quickly summarize who we are as a design team, we are specifically focused on building, developing, and applying clean energy solutions to different communities and different sets of stakeholders. So the thing that we like to bring to the world of design teams, if people know anything about design teams, is that we directly work with people in the real world, and that's something that we take a lot of pride in. It's very exciting coming from the captain position and as well from a member in a team lead position to be able to work with and see the progress that you're doing here up at UBC affect people in different parts of the world, different parts of British Columbia. So that's something that we find and we take a lot of pride in. We have two different branches officially at the moment. There is the branch here at UBC, and then we as well have a Sustaingineering Tech in Tec de Monterrey in Mexico. They're one of our partner universities, and we've been working with them for a couple of years now. We are also hoping to be able to expand as we go down the line to a couple of different locations. As you'll hear later, we have a couple of different projects in Nicaragua. So setting up a team in Nicaragua is something that we're hoping to go for. We're also hoping for things over in Europe so that we can get as much of an impact as possible. Here you can see our team from last year. So this was everybody. As we'll get into in a little bit, there are 7 sub-teams coming in ranges of technical, non-technical, support. So there's a bunch of different categories for our teams. And then you've got Eli and I up top on the management. And as well, part of the management team is our graduate advisor and our faculty advisor. And then we've also got people in management that are going to be transitioning into their captainship as we speak. And yeah, so that's a rough idea of kind of what Sustaingineering looks like.
So we've touched on this a couple times already. It's only just getting started in the info session. But our mission is to build sustainable solutions and bring them to developing communities. We have a number of partners which we'll get into later, but the reason we do this is because there are still, even today, over 1 billion people without access to reliable electricity. Imagine not being able to study at night because you didn't have any lights. Imagine having to burn fuels in order to cook because, and imagine how much that would get into your lungs and how much that impact your health. And we know that we can't fix that for 1 billion people, but we hope that during our degree, we can do our part to fix that for a few. We also want to give a shout out to Dr. Martin Ordonez. He's our faculty advisor, and he was one of the people who founded Sustaingineering back in 2016. Dr. Martin Ordonez helped us out with administrative tasks. He comes and gives us technical advice. You'll see him at some of our meetings during the year, and he's very friendly. So when you see him, give him a wave. He also helps fund us through the Kaiser Fund. And in addition, one of his graduate students, Jan, is here with us today. Jan, do you want to say hi?
Hey guys, yeah, I'm stoked to be here. And yeah, just a warm welcome from the Alpha Lab, which is the research lab that Martin is leading. And yeah, we're doing renewable energies as researchers. So we're happy to pass it on and yeah, see some cool projects this year.
Great, thanks, Jan. Okay, and now we're going to get started with our teams, if the team leads are ready. And first up is Cynthia from our education team.
So hi everyone, my name is Cynthia. I am the team lead of the education team. And going on to this year, these are like, we have 3 members that stayed with us from last year. 2 of the other team members have to leave for co-op or for other reasons they can't be here this year. So we're looking forward to recruit some new people. Oh, actually, I don't think I have control. Wait, let me request. Great. So who are we? We, as education team, we develop and implement educational modules related to sustainability, renewable energies, and basic engineering concepts in order to promote these topics among teens, teenagers, and kids. And here are some fun facts about us. So the education team was actually created 2 years ago this time. So you're going on to the 3rd birthday of education team. And our team is very diverse. We've had team members from arts, science, engineering, and we even had an exchange student on our team last year. And lastly, we have a lot of cool project ideas, but you have to join us to know. So what we've accomplished so far in the past 2 years, we started from scratch. So we had to go through the entire design process. First, we defined scope and project, our goal of project, and we wanted to target kids around grade 7 to 6, 6 to 7. And project is to introduce children to basic sustainability and engineering concepts. We had to do background research on all of the projects that we wish to write about and create. So we had to do selection and elimination for the main project, course ideas and course projects. And for last year, we worked a lot on reconstructing the lesson plan to make it really detailed and clear so that the instructors who pick up these lesson plans can just have no background information about they might not know anything about engineering or sustainability, but they will still be able to teach these topics because of how detailed our lesson plans are. So anyone can be a teacher. And lastly, we began prototyping. So we researched and tested circuit components, and now we're working to aim for a really robust design for our toy car design. And this is what you can be on the team for to help us this year. We wish to create a really robust toy car prototype. So for example, one of the things we had to work on a lot last year is the solar panel. We had to find a solar panel that was powerful enough to run the motor under different weather conditions. So not just sunny, but maybe cloudy, but not too powerful that it's too heavy for the car to carry because it is a toy car. And we want to create the finalized toy car design. So after prototyping, we want to finalize on it and record all the materials and components needed. And then we have to write it up in the lesson plan. So we have to make all the changes onto the lesson plan, add all the modifications, and format the lesson plan. So that is also a very important part of this year. And lastly, we hope to create the project kits. So the kit is basically a box of all of the things that you will need to make the project. And it will include the lesson plan as well. So then, for example, a teacher can just pick up a box and then give all the materials and components to the students. So the teacher can teach and the students can build, and it's very clear, very straightforward. So the recruiting positions that we want 2 content creators. So your main responsibilities this year will include research of grade 6 to 7 level science engineering activities, construct new ideas and activities into clear and detailed instructions, keep lesson plans for up to date, adding modifications and keeping them in a consistent format. And lastly, format the completed lesson plans onto a template for it to look nice, for it to be presentable. And the ideal candidates that we're looking for are people with experience with writing lesson plans or instructions for activities, people who are creative and able to brainstorm new ideas, experience with working or teaching with children, just overall know what they like and know what they think. And lastly, just basic Microsoft skills are enough. And what this year will look like for you. So I know COVID-19, everything's online, kind of strange for everyone. But the lesson plans were created with the intent of sending them out for instructors to teach students without any background knowledge of sustainability or engineering. So this year, it's kind of the same. Nothing's really changed. We will continue to robust our lesson plans and reach out to interested teachers for their feedback on our lesson plans. So we will also be working along with the project kit constructors to finalize the solar power toy car design and adding those instructions into the lesson plan. So not much has changed for the content creators. And the other position that we're recruiting for is the kit constructors. So the responsibilities of this position include people, well, you have to explore and test the materials required for the circuit. We are building a car, we are using solar panels and using wires and using motors and wheels. You're also responsible for purchasing and returning materials. You will be reimbursed. It's just that you have to go out and buy these things so that we can actually build something. And you are responsible to research and construct physical prototypes to test robustness and make improvements. And you have to report any issues or unclarities to the content creators and team lead. And lastly, for every prototype that you build, we want to see a documentation so that we can know what we need to improve next time when we build a better prototype. So the ideal candidates include people with good understanding of electrical components or circuits, and people with experience with building science-y and engineering projects, and experience with running digital computer circuit simulations if possible. And lastly, basic Microsoft skills. What the year will look like for you constructors. All the design team members on campus will be following a strict COVID-19 guideline. So there is a possibility that we will not be able to use any of the buildings or meet in person. So we can still drop off and mail each other the materials and components needed to build the prototype, but there will be a lot of options and we will figure out what works for our team and hopefully find something that works for all of us. So the conclusion of being a member of education team is that you will have the opportunity to build skills in prototyping, research, and outreach. You will improve skills in communication and teamwork. You will face new challenges and learn to solve them efficiently, and you will gain new experiences and friendships, and that's a really cool thing. I mean, we're all online this year, so you want to make new friends, hopefully. And when we do meet in person, there's a lot of snacks, so maybe stick around far enough that we can meet up in person again, and you'll get all the free pizza.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Yeah, thanks a bunch, Cynthia. So that was the education team, and now we're on to the electrical team.
All right, thank you, Cynthia. So hey, everyone, we are the electrical team. My name is Simon Butson. I'm a third year's mechatronics student. Oops, it shouldn't be moving. Oh, sorry about that. I'm one of the co-leads as well. Our other presenters will be Mona Beruzian. She's a third year biomedical engineering student, and Forbes Choi, who's in fifth year engineering physics. And Forbes is the other co-lead for the electrical team.
Okay, so the project the electrical team has been working on for the past 2-3 years is a solar-powered water pump monitoring system. Basically, we've partnered with an NGO called Enicalsa, and the picture on the right is our prototype out at the UBC farm. So the goal of our project is to remotely monitor the performance of these pumps in Nicaragua in order to improve system longevity. Oh,
There you go.
perfect. So what's the purpose of having a remote monitoring system for these pumps anyways? Well, our client in charge of repairs is Benito, and he's shown here in the diagram as Bob the Builder. He lives out in the city of Leon, so he has to drive long hours to remote locations just to check up on each and every pump out at these farms. So if something goes wrong at one of the pumps, Benito doesn't know unless one of the farmers notify him. But our remote monitoring system would allow Benito to receive real-time updates and alarms if the pumps need attention. This lets Benito avoid unnecessary trips for checkups, and most importantly, it lets the farmers and those in the community to not worry about reporting any issues with the pump. So to facilitate this, we want to set up an IoT system where sensory data from each pump and solar panel is sent to a web app that Benito can access anywhere. So that's the purpose of the project, and now we'll get more into the details of the technical work.
Yeah, thank you, Mona. So in the electrical team, the projects are divided between two main aspects, hardware and firmware development. So for the hardware, our main project is basically creating a PCB that basically includes all the sensors and telecommunication devices of our IoT system. Yeah, so picture at the bottom right is actually one of our first prototypes. So in the end, we just want to transfer that into a PCB, just like the picture at the top right. Yeah, so then for firmware development, we are currently programming the particle and ESP32 microcontrollers that are going to be embedded into our PCBs. Yeah, so they handle the sensing of our data as well as communication in our IoT system. This is a picture of an API that's part of the particle. It tracks the data that are read and sent out by the particle. And finally, this is the web app that our client, Benito, that will be seeing and using. So this web app handles retrieving the data that we're going to store online. It's powered by Firebase, so there's a lot of serverless technologies such as Firestore, Cloud Functions, and more. There's also a lot of modern JavaScript involved because this entire thing is actually a single page app, and it's powered by React.
Thank you, Forbes. So why should you join the electrical team? If you join, you can gain hands-on experience doing PCB design, microcontroller programming for particle and ESP32, full stack development, IoT integration, building and testing circuits, which includes soldering, as well as calibrating various types of electrical sensors. You also get the opportunity to work on an interdisciplinary team, collaborating with mechanical, finance, and education subteams, for example. Additionally, you get to make great new friends, and most importantly, work on a project that has a positive real-world impact. We encourage everybody who is interested in one of these things to apply, even if they're in first year or don't have a lot of technical experience. Thank you for listening with the electrical team, and we'll be in room 2 later on if you have any questions.
Thank you, Forbes, Simon, and Mona. That was a great presentation, and now we're moving on to the finance team with Aisha.
So I'm Isha. I am a second-year solder student, and I am the team lead of finance. I've been a part of Sustaingineering since February of 2020, and our current finance members are Catherine, Isaac, Sue, and Jane, and they all come from different faculties, so not just solder. Isaac is also in engineering. So that is us. Oh. is that doing that? Okay, so our big project for this year is funding. So along with the Kaiser Fund, we focus on 3 different sources for funding, which is PAF, which is the Professional Activity Fund, and that is mainly for engineering design teams. And then we focus on SPF, which is the AMS Sustainability Fund. And then we also focus on crowdfunding, which is our own independent project. So funding covers everything for subteams. So equipment, resources, supplies, trips, and team merchandise. And the reason our big project or our big focus for the whole year is funding is because without funding, many teams would not be able to continue their projects, and Sustaingineering's mission and goals and milestones would be delayed. So finance heavily focuses on funding. And so the process for funding is quite extensive, not just to get funding, but how to maintain funding and how to report it. And there's a lot of things you can learn from it, which is applicable to any field, not just commerce. So obviously you will learn writing skills and how to process a grant by filling and submitting an application. You will learn how to track expenses and receipts, which is where you will learn how to do reimbursements and claim forms. You will also learn how to make budget models and allocate funds. And you will also learn, which is quite important in any field, is to communicate with all teams about their needs, their monetary needs, and so you'll be able to refine your communication skills. You'll also be able to do something called a financial health check. So you will learn how funds are being recorded, are they being reported properly, which is something that everyone needs to know. And then you will also learn about, fixing financial procedures if they're not up to standard. And this is a great learning opportunity for anyone, not just solder students, engineering students, science students. It is a really great place to learn and refine these types of skills. And our sub-project for this year has to do with funding as well, but it is sponsorships. So the finance team currently is working in collaboration with all sub-teams to acquire sponsors. We're mainly working with marketing right now and electrical. We are currently in the process of finalizing our sponsorship package and also creating a sponsorship database. And we want to have sponsors supporting each sub-team and their own projects. And sponsors are not just a great way of getting more funds and getting more resources, but they will be a great connection for Sustaingineering throughout the years and will greatly strengthen our impact locally and globally. So let's move on. So the process for sponsorships are also quite extensive, and you can learn a lot of great skills. As I mentioned before, you will communicate with all sub-teams through online platforms. We're going to be completely online this year. And you'll learn how to communicate effectively because sponsorships have a quick turnaround. You will also learn how to cold call and interact with sponsors. So that's also another great way of communication skills and professionalism. And you can also record goals, potential sponsors, and their status in a spreadsheet. So you can refine your Excel skills, and you can also learn new financial skills. And you will also present and conduct meeting with sponsors. So you will learn more public speaking skills. And you can also learn graphic design as well if you want to work more with marketing. So we're looking for people who are passionate about ensuring about the financial health of Sustaingineering. If you have some of these technical skills like application writing, expense tracking, or sponsorship packages or presentations, please apply, as well as some soft skills are growth mindset, team player attitude, and strong work ethic. Obviously, it is a great place to learn, and it is a great learning opportunity. So I highly encourage first years to apply. It's a great place to refine these skills. And what else? Yeah, why you should join. So a lot of people kind of get mistaken that finance is only for commerce students, but it's really for anyone because finance is something that everyone will need in their life, no matter where they work. So these are the specific skills you will learn. So these are the ones I mentioned before, but the big one I want to highlight right now is the financial portfolio management, where you will learn how to manage a complete portfolio, which is very much reflective of how real organizations manage their expenses. It's quite simplified, but it'll be great if you want to work in big corporations. And this will greatly help you personally because it will create a business mindset and with a business mindset, you can learn the following skills. So you can learn all these skills, which will make you competitive in any field. So the biggest ones are like problem solving, decision making, which is like what people are really looking for, especially now and when we graduate. So it's not just for solder students, anyone can apply, please apply. And yeah, that's all I have. In conclusion, please apply. And I think Akil is next.
That was awesome. Thanks, Aisha. Or Isha, sorry. Isha is actually our newest team lead, and as you can see, we're having some technical difficulties. So a big round of applause to Isha. Thank you so much.
Can everyone hear me all right? I just want to test the mic. Awesome. Okay. Hi, everyone. So I'm Akhil. I'm the team lead for the Indigenous engagement team. And this is my third year in Sustain Engineering. You know, a bit about me, I'm, studying materials engineering. I'm in my 5th year. And yeah, I think the Indigenous engagement team has been such a great and honorable experience to be a part of. We launched actually a couple of months ago, 4 months ago to be exact. And it comes from the motivation for Sustaingineering to one day shift from some of their projects into our local communities and uplift the stories as well as the communities around us. So I think one thing that we really want to focus on is, before any engineering design, before any form of action, the importance of truth, decolonization, and reconciliation of Indigenous communities. Now, one thing that I really want to touch on is, seeing the impact as engineers, how we've impacted the lands and the rights of Indigenous communities, in our past. You see different examples like the Site C Dam, the Trans-Canada Pipeline. And so one thing that we're really trying to focus on is unlearn and learn how to integrate Indigenous voice into our, engineering decision making. And so there's this really important concept called two-wide seeing, which is the integration of Indigenous knowing and being into engineering practice. So following with the Indigenous engagement team, our main goal is to reduce the environmental impact and encourage self-reliance and sovereignty over municipal utilities. Now, from what we've seen, the government of Canada has a huge influence over how, energy and other utilities are distributed to different communities. And so this is something that we have noticed after speaking to Indigenous rights holders and stakeholders, that there is an increasing motivation to, encourage communities to be more self-reliant over their utilities. So now this brings me to the next point. So reconciliation. So how can we use our means to transform the words and intentions that we have into action so we can better support the communities around us? So it's a pleasure to say that a couple of days ago, Builders Without Borders, they are an international NGO that focuses on housing construction projects. So Builders Without Borders, they have officially accepted Sustain Engineering as an official partner, a long-term partner. And so through their mentorship and through their engineering expertise, we will be collaborating on a project to address the drinking water and access to water utilities crises in central British Columbia. So our project will address the drinking water, wastewater generation, heating and air conditioning, as well as looking at alternative sources of power. And so as you can see, the network will include rainwater catchment, atmospheric water generation, water filtration, a gray water recycling system that can then irrigate plants, and then hopefully through Sustain Engineering's experience of working on solar panels to help power the system through solar power. And so I know that was sort of a word jumble. So what exactly does that look like? What does this network look like? So in places like central British Columbia, where, communities receive a lot of rainwater, right? So what we plan on, or what we hope to see, is the construction of a rainwater catchment and atmospheric water generator. So these two systems, they collect water. For those that don't know, the atmospheric water generator, it captures moisture from humid air. And so after having this water, it's important that this water is filtered through chlorination and UV systems. And what we will hope to, oh, okay, back to the next slide. Let me go back to the, perfect, okay. So with, the water that's generated, it'll then be used for, household applications. And after, water's been used, it's known as gray water, right? So what we want to do is recycle that gray water so that it can be reused for household applications or to help irrigate, plants and small gardens in the house. Okay, so the past summer, we had the privilege of working with the Bella Bella Heiltsuk First Nations. So as you can see on the map here, they're, along the central coast of British Columbia. And we had the opportunity to work with the community on the selection of heat pumps over the past summer. And so given our knowledge and our experience working with this community, as of now, we will be using Bella Bella as a reference for this project. But through Builders Without Borders connections with other Indigenous communities, we hope to reconfigure the system depending on the community's needs. So maybe they already have access to a lot of water, then they may not need an atmospheric water generator. I think there's different considerations that we will be exploring when it comes to analyzing weather patterns, advisories, etc. Oh. Okay, so now this is a large project, right? It's going to take a lot of time to tackle and to even establish a relationship, develop a relationship with the community. So what we have forecasted is for this project to be 1 to 2 years, and we've divided it into 5 stages. So stage 1. So before we even get into the technical aspect, in the team, what we are really going to focus on for the first 2 weeks is exposing you guys to, decolonization, the Indigenous history, the peoples of this land. And so we'll, conduct workshops and intercultural dialogue and read on the history and, the cultures of these communities, as well as our impact as engineers on them. And then stage 2, this is when we'll split the team into sub-teams. So how we have different components, then we'll be splitting teams based on the mini component that they are working on. And then stage 3 will consist of, creating the soft prototype. So looking at, after doing the technical research, now converting our thoughts onto paper. So that's through CAD modeling, SolidWorks, using engineering designs, looking at our thermal and energy calculations. And then stage 4 is then when we move on to the hard prototype, which would be the construction and the simulation of the project. And then stage 5, lastly, is the test design at UBC Farms, that's TBA. Sustaingineering does have an active relationship with UBC Farms, but unfortunately due to COVID, that's paused for the time being. And one thing I want to mention is, throughout this process, we'll be actively engaging and communicating with Builders Without Borders because they are the stakeholder, as well as, the Indigenous community that we are in contact with. So, we've seen in passing that engineers, we go to site and then we leave. That's definitely not the approach that we want to take. It's an active involvement of everyone. So yeah, as I just quickly mentioned, we worked on the heat pump project, and Brian Boone, who's the president of Builders Without Borders, he's also actively considering the implementation of heat pumps. Just wanted to, add that in there. Okay, so now let's get to who we're looking for. So for our team, we are looking for 4 to 7 engineering students. and we are open to everyone. Now, so I'll get into some of the technical assets in terms of these are, if you have these, then that's a plus, because I mean, either we're going to be learning them as we go, or if someone has these experiences, it'll definitely help accelerate that process. But one thing I want to mention is that you do not need to have a huge set of skills to be in this project. You know, for me, for example, and working on the heat pumps, I had no prior experience, right? So that's something that I really want to say is you'll be learning so much by just joining a design team in general, right? You're not expected to know everything, but you will learn, and you know, you will be exposed to a lot of different types of skills. And I also want to say that this project is open to first years. And this type of project is unique because it requires project longevity, right? When developing a relationship with Indigenous communities, they can't operate on the student schedule, right? It's going to be a long-term project. And so we do look at first years because they will be sticking around with us for quite a while at university. So what exactly will you learn? So of course, you know, you will be exposed to a variety of technical skills. And, you know, as the team lead and as well as another senior member who's on the team, you know, we will be mentoring you guys on the knowledge and experiences that we have learned and gathered over the time, right? So there is that mentorship component to sustain engineering as a whole. But I also want to, you know, say that there is that level of transparency where we as, you know, senior members or teammates may not know everything. And so we will be learning with you guys along that process. And then the second thing I want to say is, you know, beyond the technical experience, you guys will be being a part of a project that's, you know, so important in being an ally to the communities around us. So you will be exposed to different types of perspectives and societies and cultures and levels of thought. Because I think as engineers, we are representing the society, right? We communicate the society's needs and we translate that into the work we do. Yeah, so I just wanted to end off with this motto that has been really, you know, I think it embodies who we are and what we're trying to do. So, you know, we are on this journey together. We may not know all the answers. We will make mistakes and grow. We are learning and unlearning, but we are here. Thank you.
So I'm Cole. I'm one of the co-leads of the impact analysis team. My other co-lead is Catherine, and we'll get to introduce ourselves in just a second. And what impact analysis is responsible for within Sustaingineering is, well, analyzing the impact of all of the larger team's projects. So we're in charge of ensuring and monitoring the long-term sustainability of all the projects we undertake. Because, you know, everybody starts these projects with exceptionally great intentions and we're all incredibly hardworking, but it's really easy it's easy to come up with these sort of ideas, and it's another task entirely to delve into the question of once it's built, you know, how do you make sure that it really benefits the community in the way you're intending long after we install it for them. So before we get too far into, there we go, our projects, I'll just give a quick intro of myself and then I'll hand it off to Catherine. So this is my third year in Sustaingineering. Oh my gosh. There we go. I started off on the impact analysis team, so I've had a good bit of experience working on these sorts of issues. I'm currently in the School of Architecture and Landscape Architecture's Bachelor of Design. I'm from the East Coast, so I'm actually working from here right now, from New Jersey. And some of my personal interests are urban climate resilience and how design as a whole impacts and interacts with sustainability. So I will hand it off to Catherine. I'll still sort of control the slides, so we'll just have to go back and forth on when we want to advance them. But here we go.
Thanks, Cole. Okay, so I'm Catherine. I'm the other co-lead for impact analysis. This is my third year as well. I joined at the same time as Cole, and I'm in chemical engineering. Yeah, something about me, I'm from Montreal, but I have traveled a lot, so, feel free to ask me questions about that too. Cole, you can move to the next slide, I think.
Perfect.
All right, so impact analysis. So Cole explained a brief overview of what it is that we do. Essentially, we like to start with a project from the beginning and make sure that it meets our sustainability goals overall in the long term. So we like to look at it all throughout the project. So this year we have 3 projects. 2 of them are ongoing, and one of them is the new project that Akil just talked about. So we are going to be joining or going to be working directly with Indigenous engagement, trying to build that communication line and building those relationships with different Indigenous communities by starting with just the organizations that are at UBC. And then the other 2 projects that we're working with have also, one of them has been introduced by the electrical team. So we've been working on that with them for 2 years, I feel like now. So we're excited to keep going with that. And then there's also the small scale, low cost wind turbine, which the mechanical team should be presenting very soon. So we're very excited about that.
Perfect. So I'll get a little bit into our main project from last year, which was analyzing the sustainability of this small-scale wind turbine prototype that the mechanical team has been developing for an environmental conservation NGO in Nicaragua, separate from the other NGO with the solar-powered water pump monitoring system. And so we took a similar approach with this project as we did with the monitoring device project. So we generally develop a sustainability analysis framework, which involves us researching what aspects of similar projects have made them successful or unsuccessful in the past in other parts of the world, and communicating with the stakeholders in the area to get a really good idea of what exactly they're looking for and what would make this project sustainable and beneficial in their eyes. From that, we create this framework that makes it very concrete. So we have almost boxes we can check off, or at least goals that we can measure progress towards. Here you can see key factors of the sustainability of this we identified as cost, material accessibility, and intuitiveness, because we wanted everybody who came in contact with it to be able to install and use it without too much help from outside sources. And so we also enjoy sort of iterating the mechanical team's prototypes and evaluating them as they come through to make sure that we have the close working relationship so that we can ensure that their designs are following through with all of the great sustainability goals that we've set with them. And the photo on the right is one of the early prototypes that we worked on them with. All right, so next.
All right, so why should you join? Why not? I think everyone should join. It's the best team. Obviously, I'm extremely biased in saying this, but the skills that we're looking for is, there's a lot of soft skills like technical writing and research experience. We do like those. They're all bonuses, but just overall, we look for anyone. And I think I want to emphasize the fact that we want a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds, because we think that different backgrounds, different skills will help us having a more genuine understanding of each project that we're going through and make us have a stronger sort of impact analysis overall. So seriously, I encourage everyone to just apply, because I think everyone could bring a lot of interesting ideas to this team.
Right. So to wrap all that up, we do really encourage students of all different academic backgrounds to apply, like Catherine was saying. In the past, we found that drawing on different students' unique knowledge bases has made our projects and sustainability analysis way more robust. We can get insights on business and finance and cost importance from students with that sort of a background. We've gotten a lot of help from students on our team with engineering backgrounds on technical stuff. I think of things from more of a design lens, and it's just really great to have as many different ideas in the room as possible when we're dealing with such a sort of intangible product. So please apply, and to sort of give a little preview into what we'll be working on, we're going to have one sort of subset of our team working very closely with Akil's Indigenous engagement team to build relationships with Indigenous community leaders to work towards developing projects for them. And we'll have other teams continuing to work on the water pump monitoring project and the small scale wind turbine project. So I hope that answers some of your questions, and I will now hand it over to the marketing team. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Cole and Catherine. Yeah, it's really exciting, especially the new project in collaboration with the Indigenous engagement team. So Shay, do you want to take it away?
Yes, I do. Hello, I'm Shay. I'm the marketing lead. Welcome to Sustaingineering, or the more info session about Sustaingineering. The marketing team is here in kind of tandem, with the finance team to help support Sustaingineering, kind of behind the scenes and help out that way. So there's currently, there it goes. There's currently 3 of us. I am the team lead, like I was talking about, and my main job is the website. We have the lovely Jaden, who's pictured on the right, who does a lot of our graphics. She's also wonderful on social media, campaigns and stuff like that. And then there's Ansh, who is currently in Delhi, which is awesome. We meet at all summer. We had 3 different time zones, which we had to navigate meeting. It was a lot of fun. He does all of our social media and also helps with the graphics. And those are kind of the 3 worlds that the marketing team lives within. And we're this year looking for members to join and help us on that journey. So the first area is kind of lots of graphics, so anything from banners to social media posts to we had recruitment flyers this year. There's lots of work to do here, so you can get some experience doing some work in graphic design. We're also available on all kinds of social media platforms, so we have different goals with different platforms, and we try to use them with some tact to try and achieve some goals that we have, achieving other awesome people like yourselves, and trying to get ourselves a little bit more well positioned with industry sponsors through LinkedIn and Twitter. So there's lots of options to do here. And one thing about marketing that I really like is that everyone has marketing experience. We all go shopping. We all have social media. We all watch commercials. I'm a huge fan of the Super Bowl commercials. I watch those every year. That's all marketing. So everyone has marketing experience. We engage with this every day. And another thing I like to tack onto this is that this is a really amazing spot for engineers to land, particularly if you're first year. This is something that isn't taught in most degrees in engineering unless you really seek it, and can be extremely valuable in any role, understanding how to market yourself, how to market a product, how to engage on social media to achieve an end. There's a lot of really could be important life skills that you can learn from this team. The other nice thing is that it's both creative and technical. We have things like graphic design and web design, and there's also things like we have having discussions about, how to start kind of promoting our Indigenous engagement team. there's some strategy that's involved there, how to, et cetera, et cetera. So that's really fun. One unique opportunity for our website is we're trying to have a bit more active blog. So if you're a writer, that's a really good opportunity there. We want to host a lot more sustainable content on there. Another thing about the team is that we're all very integrated. So if you kind of get brought on to do one job, you'll be doing mostly that, but also a lot of everything else. So you can be prepared to learn a lot of everything and also get to commit to your own projects and have some ownership there as well. Marketing was short and sweet, but also awesome. Handing it over to Thomas.
Thank you, Shay. That was great. And
Thank
now
you.
we're moving on to our last team, the mechanical team. Last but not least.
Hello, I'm Thomas. I'm the mechanical team lead. So just as a quick overview who we are right now, there are 6 of us total. There are 5 of my team members are here. 3 of these were first years when they joined. So those of you who are in first year, don't feel like that's a bar that you have to, that's a barrier for you. It's something that we encourage, as a lot of the other team leads have spoken to already. Myself, I'm a 3rd-year mechatronics engineering student. I joined in 2019, primarily working on the Casa Congo project. And when I'm not in school or doing this, I am in competitive a cappella. So our big project is the Casa Congo wind turbine project that Impact Analysis had touched upon earlier. Where we're essentially working with an NGO to create an alternative power source for a school where their current electric grid is very spotty. So we're going to try to come in and create an alternative for them in that sense. So here you can kind of see the CAD models that we've been working on. We here in mechanical are really big on CAD and on FEA right now, finite element analysis, that is. Which is just a fancy way of saying computers doing a lot of math. And then what we're focused on right now is these 2 things because of the online COVID situation. But as Eli has mentioned earlier, we are trying to move our way back onto campus in order to start actually building the prototype, because what would the mechanical team be without actually building something mechanical? Right, so we've also been working on, alongside the electrical team, on the solar powered pump that has been mentioned quite a few times, so I won't repeat everything that's been said already. But the mechanical and the electrical team, as kind of an overview of what you can expect, is the two of our teams work very closely together, especially since this is an electrical team and most of our stuff revolves around building electric-based things. So if you are okay, I don't know what happened, but something did. Right, but so that's an opportunity for you as a member to not only be exposed to a lot of CAD and mech heavy stuff, but also to elect and other disciplines to take a look and see what else is out there and broaden your horizons a little bit. And then our final upcoming project, if the slides will change. Oh, there we go. Yeah, electromechanical generator. So for the wind turbine, we have to get a way to make the spinning thing, create the zappy thing. And so the way that we're doing that is we're going to use either building our own generator of magnets and wires on the left, kind of like, a high school science fair kind of situation. And we've also had our own motor on the right, and we're going to be working on these parts in order to create that generator to be able to convert our mechanical energy into electrical energy, which will be another subset of the projects that we'll have. So, right, why should you join the mech team? We're looking for students just like anyone, as long as you're willing to step out of your comfort zone and learn. That's a big thing that I think you should remember. A lot of, like half of my team were first years when they showed up. They didn't have any CAD experience. They didn't have any 3D modeling experience or experience with FEA, and they learned through being with us, right? They learned on their way up. And so that's a big opportunity for you to have as a first year. And also it's really good to come in from a, biased point of view, so that you'll be able to bring your own ideas. Maybe there's something that we haven't considered and something that you can think about that we can implement is quite valuable for us as a team. Otherwise, right, we work with NGOs. You can work closely with many other Sustaingineering sub-teams, right? So you can kind of see we're kind of encroaching on Elect's territory a little bit. So there's also that opportunity for you to learn about the electromechanical systems. Maybe you'll find that's where your passions are, as opposed to just pure mech. Learn and grow technical industry relevant skills, right? So that's what I was mentioning. CAD, you'll get more practice in the machine shop, fingers crossed. FEA, these are all very sought after skills in the current engineering environment, especially now that we're online. If you can CAD and if you can do all this stuff online and on your computer, that is quite valuable. And obviously, you know, developing new relationships. There are a whole vast variety of people here on the team. So there's a lot of opportunities for you to, you know, meet new people, check out what else exists in the world, and you know, make your life decisions from there, hopefully. And I think, yeah, I'm handing it back to our co-captains. I can't hear any of you, so I'm just judging based on your facial reactions at this point.
That was great. Thanks, Thomas. And that was the last of our teams. So now we're going to move into some general comments, and I think Jonah is going to lead that off.
There we go. Now can everybody hear me? Awesome. Good to see everybody nodding. Sweet. Yeah, that was really great. So thank you everybody for being able to present. It was always exciting to see all the things coming up for the year. It's always exciting to have this info session and you get to see kind of the what's to come. You know, you get to see what's coming for the year. So that was really fun to see. As for how the year is going to look for everybody, we will be meeting every Saturday at 10 a.m. Vancouver time. And that's going to be across the board for everybody. If you are in a funky time zone and that doesn't work for you, we can talk about that later, but that is definitely a major requirement for us. And depending on the team, you'll be working for about 3 to 4 hours. So expect most of your Saturday mornings to be taken up working with this team. Let's see. Yeah, so like we were talking about before, we should expect that almost everything for the entire year is going to be done virtually, with those special cases which are very, very specific. As has been announced for every single engineering design team, everything must be done remotely because there are quite a few very strict COVID guidelines. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do a lot in person. But as people have pointed out, there is more than enough to do while we're online. And so I personally have not felt like working online and being in different time zones and working all over the place has not actually affected us in our work from March all the way up until now as we worked over the summer. So I found that even though we're working during these times of COVID, still people are able to learn, they're able to grow, and we're able to still make the impacts that we were making prior. So that's great to see. And as well, I think something that was really fun to hear, and this wasn't actually required, but I loved that there were a lot of people that talked about the community that Sustaingineering has. And I think that that's something that maybe we overlook sometimes, but we definitely are proud to have it, where Sustaingineering is a group of like-minded individuals that are all very focused and passionate about sustainability. And the fact that you get everybody in the same room, on the same team, all kind of motivated with that sort of same genuine excitement is very, very fun to have. And I think that being a part of this group and having that sort of a shared mindset is really, really fun to be able to coexist in. And I don't think that that's going to be affected at all, as I said before. Things like team socials are still going to be very much a thing. We've got group meetings at the morning, so at 10 a.m., everybody will be meeting together, so you'll be able to socialize and get to know everybody, so that everybody is still, even though you're back home, wherever you are, you're still able to meet everybody, and there's still that sort of social side to an engineering design team or just any design team that people are excited about, or a club. So that's still all going to be very, very relevant for the coming year. As for applying, hopefully people have been able to figure it out by now, but if not, if you look up sustaingineering.com/join us, you'll be able to get all the information that kind of describes how to apply to Sustaingineering. There on that page on sustaingineering.com/join us is a link which will go to a Google form. That Google form is, oh, thank you for typing that in for everybody. That Google form is where you'll be filling out the application. It will take 20 to 45 minutes just as an expectation for everybody, depending on the sub-team that you're applying to, because there are some specific questions for different teams. And an important note is that the application closes tomorrow, Friday at midnight. So expect to have all of your application done and submitted by Friday at midnight, because on Saturday, we as team leads will all be meeting together, and we'll be spending all of Saturday getting ready so that we can get as many interviews as possible done on Sunday. So just as a heads up, if your application makes it past the application process and moves into the interviewing stage of our recruitment process, be aware that you could be able to get an interview on Sunday. It would be Sunday, probably early to midday. So just be expectant of that, and hopefully you'll be able to have some free time set aside. We'll send out more of that information Saturday, midday, until late of the day.